Okay, everybody, so we're going to begin with the very first halacha in Siman Shin Ches, which discusses Muktza. As I told you, I'm going to try to go a little bit Keseda Shulchan Aruch for those of you that are following inside, right? Just in case. So like this. I want to, maybe it's probably better for someone to close the door. So I want to start with the beginning. It's a very, very important halacha. It's a very misinterpreted halacha as well of what people understand this to mean. So let's get some little clarity over here. Be'ez Hashem. We're going to go to category number one. Okay, category number one. Yesterday we went through the various categories of what is Muktza, and we didn't discuss exactly their din, which obviously we're going to go through one by one, but at least we understand what is Muktza. Now we're going to go through one by one the list and understand exactly what is mutter and how. So we start with Muktza, machmas, chesaron, kis. Okay? Literally means Muktza because of loss of money, but we have to explain exactly what that means. It's a very important category, and it's a category that's one of the most chomer types of Muktza. It's interesting that the Shulchan Aruch begins with this one. I want to read you the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, and then we'll get into a little bit of the Lomdus. The Shulchan Aruch begins Siman Shin Ches, which is the beginning of Muktza. Kol hakelim nitolim b'Shabbos. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, and this is an important idea, that in the Zman of Nehemiah, in the time of the Gemara, they made various gzeiros. The original and very first gzeira that they made was asering everything. You cannot touch anything, any keli. That means you cannot touch a stender. By the way, I say the word touch, it's not correct. I don't literally mean touch. Because Muktza, there's no problem, we'll get to it. But there's no issur in touching Muktza. People think you're not allowed to touch Muktza, you're allowed to touch Muktza. Unless it will move, obviously that's something else. But there's no issur in touching a car, or touching a tree, or touching a phone. Touching without moving, no issur. So when I say touching, I mean a type of moving, right? So just take that for, on face value. But I'll upon him, so the original gzeira was to asa all kelim. Okay, Yaakov Ataiti, all kelim. That means a table, a stender, a plate, a fork, and a cup was 100% asa. You cannot move that on Shabbos. They relaxed the laws as time went on, and they saw people were being a little bit more makbid in halachas. And then they said only certain kelim are asa. Okay, that hence the lashon of Shulchan Aruch over here. Okay, everybody, so listen carefully. This is a very interesting type of Muktza, and we have to get the geder of this Muktza very, very clear. Kol hakelim nitolim b'Shabbos. All kelim can be moved on Shabbos. Chutz, and here's the exception of today, of our sugya today. Mi Muktza machmas chesaron kis. Except for what we call a Muktza machmas chesaron kis. And the example he gives, we'll wait for a moment to discuss the example that the Shulchan Aruch brings. And what we're going to do is move on to the Mishnah. Okay? The Mishnah in Shabbos Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis says like this. The Mishnah says this lashon, that kol hakelim, all kelim can be moved, except, says the Mishnah, for those of you that did Daf Yomi, Mishnah Kuf Chav Gimel, except for the knife, a huge knife. Okay, we have to explain exactly what that means. We're going to get to that. What's the reason why it's asa? What's the problem with this big knife? Again, we'll explain what the big knife is. But what's the problem? What is the bayah with Muktza machmas chesaron kis? And we have to very importantly give a description of what is it and what falls under the category. Right? I want to tell you a klal. When for all of you that know the shurim, you know this already. But just in case you don't remember this, when I give you his examples, there's many, many more examples. But my main point of the share is not to give you examples. Because there's no point me standing here saying, this is also, this is mutter, this is also, because all of a sudden you're going to find something, oh, he didn't talk about that in share, so what do I do now? If I give you the klolim, and you remember the klolim, then anything that fits into that klal you'll understand. Okay? So basically, if we understand what Muktza machmas chesaron kis is, of which there's no heter to move on Shabbos, not even a tzor gufo in makoymai, not if it's in your place, it's on your bed, it's on your pillow, it's on your chair, there's no heter to move that. So what is it? What is it? What's the problem in it? So Rashi says on the Mishnah Kuf Chav Gimel, Rashi says because you're makbid on it, that people will damage it. What does that mean? That means like this. Anything that you have, that you are makbid on, that people shouldn't use it for something else other than its intended purpose. You with me, Morty? Other than its intended purpose. Why? Because we're worried that someone's going to come and ruin it. For example, a knife. Nobody's worried if you take a cucumber and cut a cucumber with the knife that you're going to ruin the knife. But if you use the knife, for example, to tighten a screw, which you can't do on Shabbos anyway, but I'm just giving you an example, to something else, you'd say, excuse me, don't use my knife. Why not? Why not? Because you're going to ruin the knife. It's going to become blunt. Aaron, you with me? So Rashi's telling us the aside. No, Sameah. Rashi, you're typing just, am I going too quick? Rashi's saying like this. Rashi's saying that when you have something that you are makbid, please do me a favor, do not use this for something else. Right? I have a credit card. This credit card you want to use to make an underline in your Mishnah Berurah. Hilchos Kiddush, you're learning Hilchos Kiddush, so you want to make an underline to make sure that you remember this particular line. I want to make a straight line. Have you got a credit card? No, don't use my credit card. Why not? And you're going to bend it, you're going to ruin it, whatever. A makbid on it. I'm just giving you an example. Anything that you makbid, says Rashi, that someone should not use it other than its intended purpose, that's a Muktza Machmas Chesron case. In a nutshell. There's a lot more to discuss, obviously. Okay?
Isn't that like
No, absolutely not. If I've got, again, we're going to have to get to details. If I've got a cheap pencil that I bought in Pir Chesed for $1.50, and you say, do me a favor, can I borrow your pencil a second? I need the pin in my iPhone. Well, it won't go anywhere with one of those things. But, I want to stick it. Would it bother you? Big deal. So you break the tip, so you may sharpen it again. Big deal. There's some things that it doesn't bother you if someone uses. Shimon, you with me? Excellent. So far, so good? We'll talk about the iPhone thing, don't worry. We'll talk about it. We'll talk all about it. We've got a lot to discuss on that. Not even during the week. Forget about during the week, that's a whole different shmooze. I'm talking about on Shabbos, obviously. Okay, so, like this, Rabbatai. Yaakov. What does it define makbid? Who's makbid? Who? The world or you?
the world? That's a good question. You.
It goes by you? What if everyone's makbid except me? Like the whole world care about, I don't care.
You're not froze.
What does that mean? Maybe I don't have to be makbid if everyone else is makbid.
The world. I think it goes both ways.
This shaila, by the way, is negeya in many situations. It's negeya in hilchos nida, it's negeya in hilchos tfilas kelim. It's negeya by lots of things. When there's a shaila bakpada, it goes by who? Right? The first Taz, hilchos nida talks about this shaila. But al kaponim, the general din is, according to different poskim, there's a different shaila about exactly who is makbid over here. So a lot of the poskim, the Aruch HaShulchan, for example, discusses this, and the Aruch HaShulchan says at the end of the day, it goes by the person. It goes by each individual. If you are makbid, even if no one else in the world is makbid, that's called makbid. And that makes it into Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis. The world's not makbid, the world don't care. Oh, but I care. And it goes by the Baal, the owner, which by the way, is a very important klal in Muktza. Generally we go by the owner, we'll discuss that by sushi. Mitzvah Hashem. When we get to sushi, we'll discuss that also. But it goes by the owner. If the owner is makbid, that's akbada. We made it the Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis in that case. Okay, let's move on, Rabbi Isai. Okay, Nosameh, with me? Yes. What becomes a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis? Until now, we've given a couple of klal, and we haven't really said what item. A stender, can a stender become a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis if I don't want anyone to touch my stender? What does it mean it's not prepared? The stender is automatically made and usable for anyone to put a sefer or a siddur on to use.
You said that if you leave your phone on your bed by mistake,
right,
you'll have to take it off because it was prepared before shower.
Okay, so we have to talk about that's dinei bosses. We'll have to get that's very good, but we've got a lot of time to get to that. My question to you is, can I make this talus? If I'm makbid, please do not touch this talus. Can I make that a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis? If it belongs to me, can I make that a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis? That the talus will now become Muktza? I can, yeah? What about my mug, for coffee mug? Please, I don't want anyone touching my coffee mug, please. Can I become Muktza now? You hear what I'm asking? Can anything in the world that you're makbid on become Muktza? David, what are you tying now? Why not? Daniel, what are you tying now? But anything can become Muktza, you're saying, right? Shimon Maskim? It's a tough question, eh? Tovi? Okay. I had to say the names because otherwise people think I was just talking to myself, so I just want people to know that until any time. There are people in the room. Anyway, Rabbi, so let's move on. I want to take this a very important yesod. A sefer. I don't want anyone touching my sefer. A brand new sefer, please don't touch it. It becomes Muktza now? That means nobody can touch it? No one can move it? A sefer? Sounds a bit funny, no? What?
Does that mean it's also Muktza to you?
Does that mean it's also Muktza to you? That's a good one. Okay, listen to this. Rabbi Sai, I want you to listen very, very carefully to this yesod. Because this is going to quantify what is considered to be a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis. There's a Gemara in Shabbos. Kuf, Chof, Gimel, Omid, Beis. We mentioned before the Mishnah. We're going to go into the Gemara. The Gemara says, what's an example of a Muktza Machmas Chesron Kis? Says the Gemara, it's a knife. It's a special type of knife. Says Rashi, what's this knife? Right, I didn't translate it when I told you knife. I didn't say what type of knife. Now I want to go into it. Rashi explains, you know what knife this is? It's a butcher knife. You know one of these big fat butcher knives? Epstein. Butcher knife, no? You got one of the fat butcher knives. Says Rashi, that's what a Muktza machmas chesorin kis is. Why? Because it cuts very well. And if you're going to use it to cut your cucumbers, you may ruin it, and therefore it's not going to cut my meat so well. Memela, please don't use it for anything other than meat. That you could hear such a thing, right? These butcher knives cost a fortune. They're not cheap. These are chosh of a knife. 1 second. Maskim says Rashi, it is a butcher knife. Comes along Tosfos, and Tosfos says, no, Rashi, you're wrong. It's a shchita knife. It's a shchita knife. What is Tosfos doing? What was wrong with Rashi's pshat? What did Tosfos have to come along and say, no, Rashi, you're wrong. It's a shchita knife, not a butcher knife. Tosfos, what I need you for? Rashi just told us what it is. What's a knife? It's a butcher knife. It's a shchita knife. No, Morty, what are you tying now?
A shchita knife can have a thing in it. Can have a nick.
Psst, very nice. What's it going to do with this?
So if it doesn't move.
I mean, you're more makbid.
Yeah.
It's not only
That's nice. That's nice. Huh?
Use it for anything else, even if it's good. Then do it
Why?
It's only for shkita.
There's no use on Shabbat.
What?
There's no use on Shabbat.
As opposed to?
Knife you can cut vegetables or whatever on Shabbos.
Oh, now we go. Now Rabbi said we just defined Muktza machmas chesorin kis. Thank you, Daniel. Unbelievable, Rabbi Sai. What's the machlokes Rashi and Tosfos? It's goinus. Listen to this. Rashi learns even the kli shemalachto laheta, meaning a butcher knife. What's the wrong with a butcher knife? Nothing. It's a heta. It's a regular knife that can become Muktza machmas chesorin kis when you are makbid. Says Tosfos, no. Says Tosfos, Rashi, you're wrong. Says Tosfos, it has to be Muktza to begin with. Says Tosfos, it has to be a shchita knife, which is Muktza anyway. You're makbid, bang, it becomes a machmas chesorin kis. Says a machlokes rishonim between Rashi and Tosfos. What becomes a Muktza machmas chesorin kis? Is it something heta like Rashi says that your makbid on becomes a Muktza machmas chesorin kis, or is it like Tosfos that holds that only if it starts off being Muktza is going to be a problem? Look at the Shulchan Aruch. What's the example of the Shulchan Aruch? Beginning of Shin Ches. Hello. Oh, he's back. He's happy. He's back. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Kol hakelim netonim b'Shabbos chutz Muktza machmas chesorin kis kegoyin. Second, shel shchita. Shulchan Aruch brings Tosfos. Pashas that comes out that Tosfos is holding like Tosfos, that Shulchan Aruch is pashkin like Tosfos, that only something that's already Muktza can now become Muktza machmas chesorin kis. Is everybody with me?
Yeah. Why does it matter? It's already matter.
Because it's Muktza intrinsically. By you being makbid, you turn it from what we call a kli sholach to issa, which might have a heta, to a Muktza machmas chesorin kis, which is a higher level of Muktza because you're makbid on it. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, you're wrong. All of you are wrong. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, that's not pshat in the machlokes rishonim. How does he learn Tosfos? I don't know. But says Rav Shlomo Zalman, no. Rashi is talking about what? A butcher knife. Can't use a butcher knife on Shabbos. It's full of schayra. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, pshat in Rashi is like Tosfos. He learns there's no machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. Why? Because Rashi also learns it's Muktza. Rashi also learns that a kli, shell, a butcher knife, is also kli shell schayra, it's Muktza. Memeiles Rav Shlomo Zalman, there's no machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. Everyone holds it has to be Muktza to begin with, and then can become Muktza machmas chesorin kis in this case. I don't want to go into this. A massive machlokes rishonim, machlokes of Pnei Yeshua and the Rosh Yosef. Also, there is a huge amount in this sugi right now. Halacha lemaisa. It comes out from many gedolei aposkim that only something that is already Muktza, because it's a Muktza, because it's a kli sholach to issa, can now become a Muktza machmas chesorin kis when you are makbid on it. Right? The Balatanya passes this way in the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Like the Shulchan Aruch, as we mentioned, which is pashtus like Tosfos as well, that we said as well, the Makar Chaim, the Chaye Odom, the Chazon Ish, and others. The Mishnah Berurah seems to be not that way. The Mishnah Berurah seems to say that even a kli shemalachta leheta can become Muktza machmas chesorin kis if a person is very makbid. Tainas, that's the mashmos in the Rambam as well. That he also wants to taina that way, that even something heta. I'll give you an example. Somebody once asked me this question. He got a becher from the Baal Shem Tov. A becher from that. He got a becher from the Baal Shem Tov. Okay? But now, you with me? A becher from the Baal, you're going to use that every Shabbos? No, you can't use the becher from the Baal Shem Tov every Shabbos, right? What's that? So what are you going to do? You're going to use it on a special occasion. You can use a special occasion. Maybe on Pesach, you'll keep it for one time. Does that mean it's Muktza every Shabbos? According to Mishabur, it could be Muktza. Because you're never going to touch it. Nobody touch that becher. It's heta. Doesn't make a difference. So because we have that Mishnah Berurah, that's the reason why many of the Gedolei Poskim paskin that there's a person is really makbid on it, then even a dover heta that was never muktzah before can become muktzah, even though most achronim hold only if it was originally muktzah, that's when it can become muktzah machmas chasar and kiss when you are makbid. Let me give you a few examples. Rabbi said we've gone through the lomdus. Let's go through some practical examples. Okay, so obviously a shechita knife and these things people are makbid on. Any tradesman's tools, for example, if you are a plumber or an electrician or something similar to that, you're makbid on your tools. Your tools mean a lot to you because the end of the tools is what brings you parnassa. So you don't want someone using your specific drill stamp for something else because this is my specific tools. I don't want anyone touching these things. So they're klisha. They're anyway klisha malach essa because you can't use them, but they also become klisha. They're muktzah machmas chesorin kis because you're makbid on them and therefore you cannot move them bichlal on Shabbos. Important documents, for example, your passport. Most people do not want people touching their passports. My passport costs money, tell it to get another one, whatever. It's a whole hassle. Do me a favor, don't touch my passport. I'm makbid on it. So it's obviously a klisha malach essa because not much you can do on it on Shabbos. It becomes muktzah machmas chesorin kis because people are makbid on it. The same would be, for example, on a laptop or a digital camera or a computer or something similar to that people are makbid on. Do me a favor, don't touch my laptop. Right? Many bochum have the same fear with their phones. Don't touch my phone, please. Please do not touch my phone. Don't touch my phone. We'll have to talk about phones. We'll get to it. You know what I'm talking about? There is such a thing, right? You heard such a thing, right? Yeah. Don't touch my phone. Okay, Leiby said very good just there. Okay, Al Kaponim, let's move on. A calculator, for example, I don't think a calculator is a muktzah machmas chasar kiss. I don't know someone's makbid. Yaakov, don't touch my calculator, please.
Who has calculators nowadays?
One of my dads. What do you mean who has calculators? Some people in the world that still have calculators. They're muktzah, by the way. It's a klishmak to issa, but it has heterim. Whereas a muktzah machmas chasar kiss will have absolutely no. What about paper? What about a plain piece of paper? So the Magen Avraham and the Rabbah, other Gedolei Achronim write that paper is a muktzah machmas chasar kiss. If there's a piece of paper on the table, you cannot move it. Could be a shiloh bosses on the table as well. So many Gedolei poskim, including with Moshe, Chelik Daled, or Chaim, brings us 109 base, and the Chalkis Yaakov, Debetzin Rav and Ben Moshe, the Oznidbru and others, that even nowadays our paper, which is made for writing, is also muktzah machmas chasar kiss. However, Shlomo Zalman, Rav Elyashiv, and Shevet HaLevi say that Bisman Hazeh, people are not makbid on paper. They'll use it for paper aeroplanes. People use it for stamp, to cleaning up a thing if they've got another tissue there. They don't care what they use it for. They made a Zuk with Vazna, Zuk with Rav Elyashiv Zatzal, and Rav Shlomo Zalman, that nowadays our paper, they tiny, if you've got very choshev a paper, let's say special stationery writing paper with your name on it, whatever, that people are makbid on not to use stamp, so that for sure will be muktzah machmas chasar kiss. Merchandise, if you sell merchandise in your house or you're going to return it back to the store, I don't want them to touch it. Why? Because I need to return it back to the store. If it's been used or if it's shown that it's used, then they're not going to take it back. So therefore, don't touch it, please. Therefore, it's muktzah machmas chasar and kiss. Therefore, you can have a pair of shoes in your house, which is muktzah machmas chasar and kiss, for sure, according to Mishnah Berurah, that holds it could be heta, because I'm going to return it, and therefore I don't want to touch it. And makbid, no one should touch it or use it. You with me? Yeah? Very good. What's that? A regular pair of shoes is not a problem, because you're going to use it, that's not a problem. Esrogim, an esrog on Shabbos, for example, you put an esrog a week before Sukkot. No one touch my esrog. That's going to be muktzah machmas chasar kiss, right? Matzah before Pesach could also be, right? This is Nageh, because it's Shabbos right before, it's Erev, Yudalit. So it's Nageh also over there. Right? Matzah, Sforim, right? That you're selling, you don't want anyone to open them, it loses that. So nobody should touch the sefer. Could be muktzah.
Matzah was never muktzah.
Doesn't make a difference, you don't makbid on it. According to Mishabur, it could be heta.
I thought it has to be muktzah first.
It's a machlokes rishonim, but according to Mishabur, he's machmir. And one last thing Rabbi is saying is a picture on the wall. What's the din of a picture of the wall? Right, let's say it gets a little bit tipped. Can I tip it over? So, Leiby. So, very simple. It depends who the picture is. It depends who the picture is. If the picture is of the Chazon Ish, you're not allowed to move it. If the picture is of Rav Moshe, you're allowed to move it.
Why?
What's pshat? Because the Chazon Ish learned that if you makpid on it, Zug Rashi be'etzem, the Shibur brings it as well at the beginning of Shem Chas, that you makpid on it by being miyachid loy makoim. By a picture on the wall, it's on the wall, don't touch it. It got a bit tilted over. The Chazon Ish says you can't touch it because there's Muktza machzor and kids. Rav Moshe says no, such a thing you're not makpid on it. If you're not makpid, and even though you've miyachid loy makoim, Rav Moshe holds that's not Muktza, and therefore that's why if it's a picture of a Moshe, the covered Rav Moshe, you can move it. But it's a picture of the Chazon Ish, then the covered of the Chazon Ish, you should not move it. Be'ez Hashem, on Sunday, we're going to start the halachas of Kli Shemalachtoy Le'isa Be'ezus HaShem. Shkoyach Havayisei.